Hi everyone, it's Adrienne from BERNINA Canada. Welcome again to our Facebook Live presentation today on a special day, on Friday. Yes, we're back on Friday, so it's been a busy week and can give you an update on what's going on in BERNINA Canada. We just received a large shipment of machines, so we're working on getting those out on Monday. We got a large shipment of parts. Those got out today. So it's been a really, really busy week. I had a live serger demonstration yesterday. That was great. So just been all over a really great week at BERNINA Canada. So I hope you've had a great week too. I want to top off this week by talking about metallic threads and a little sneak peek of what came in the parts shipment for me this week. So that's pretty exciting. Hope everybody's okay. Hi Janice, hi Paul, hi all my regulars. I'm glad you're here. It's nice to see you. It's a beautiful day in Ontario and it's a good day to sew. So hopefully we'll get some sewing this weekend. Great, Martha's here and Hamletta and everyone. Okay, so we're talking about metallic threads. Hopefully you can see my sample behind me. It's a cool wall hanging by Scissortail Stitches. They are the sister company from OESD. OESD designs all the embroidery put on our BERNINA machines. Really great company, and Scissortail is sort of the newer spin-off company. And this is the first tile scene I ever embroidered myself, so it was really fun. It's made up of 32 blocks and you sew each one individually, and there was a little bit of metallic thread in this one, not too much, but some in the candles and in the flames. So maybe I can give you a little bit of a close-up. I'll come around and give you a close-up. All right, so you can see there on the candle, there's like a little bit of a sparkle on the side of the candle. So there's a little bit of metallic there. And then on the left-hand side of the screen where you can see the edge of the gold candle, there's more gold threads in there. And there's actually some silver threads in this silver candle as well. Really great tile scene to make. It's called Merry and Bright, as you can tell. And I just wanted to give you some tips and tricks about sewing with metallic threads, because metallic threads can be a little bit challenging to sew with. I wonder if you have tried sewing with metallic threads. We've done a bunch of projects here with metallic threads and I'll show you some. On the Christmas tree here, I've got some golden ornaments and some little tape measure ones. I'll show you a close-up of that where we put some gold sewing on it. Yeah, so we'll show you all that. And I've got this cute pillow here that Diane made. This was all done in metallic gold thread. And you can see how effective that is. It's just a simple design, but it looks really elegant in the gold thread, and it really catches the light. And he looks really gorgeous. That was just a built-in design on her 880 Plus. That's an OESD design. Looks really great. So yeah, sewing with gold thread or metallic thread can be a little bit challenging, and we're getting ready. Joyce, I will get back to you on the link for the unicorn tree ornaments. You remember that I make a different tree every year, and last year I had a unicorn tree, and this year I just brought out the gold for now, but I'm thinking of making a red tree, but we'll get at it. Okay, so let's talk about metallic threads. Why are they so challenging to work with? What can we do to have better results in our sewing and embroidery with metallic threads? Yes, great job. Okay, let's take a closer look at metallic thread in general. So here's a collection of some metallic threads I found in our collection. Some of them are new, some of them are older. But you know, metallic threads, they are exactly as advertised. They are a thin wire metal sort of wrapped around a cord, and the center core cord is often nylon or rayon, and that can cause some challenges for sewing, and you just got to know how to handle them. So let's take a look at some of these here. These are like true metallic threads. quite a bit. You can feel that they are truly, truly metallic. Some of them are on large spools, some are on small spools. These are on old cardboard spools. This one is very sort of rough feeling, whereas this one is very smooth. So this one might even pose more of a challenge because the thickness sort of changes as you go use this thread. So that's a bit of a challenge. These ones too, these are more like ribbons. They're quite thick. I would probably use these in the bobbin rather than in the needle. They're really quite thick. And then I have some new Wonderfill threads. This one is again really thick. I would probably use that. Actually, you could get that in the needle. I would definitely use it as bobbin work, or it would look beautiful couched down. It's a really nice one. Wonderfill has several different kinds. This is Sizzle and this is Dazzle, and they work really great too. Now these ones are more intended for hand work, so I probably would not load these on the needle of my machine. But again, this is a nice one that could be couched down. This is sort of a ribbon one, or you could even wind it on the bobbin by hand, and you could do this as bobbin work. And I have a couple examples of that too. Great. Has anybody had any success sewing with these metallic threads? So these ones I probably would not put on my sewing machine. I would couch them down. And traditionally, metallic threads were couched or worked by hand because they're very fragile. As I was saying, they are kind of they are metal, and then they have a core that's fabric, that's thread to help them move through the sewing machine. So let's just imagine for a moment that this is the core of our metallic thread. This wooden dowel is the core of our metallic thread. And in the production method, in manufacturing, what happens is they actually take metallic, they take a metal thread and they wrap it around the core. So this yarn is going to represent the core. All right, so this is the core and here's the metallic wrapped around. So what happens is you have this thread that's got several components to it, and as you sew, if you have a lot of disruption of this metal, either through the fabric, through the eye of the needle, through the machine itself, you're going to get friction of the metal on the core or the metal on the machine, and this is going to break or bunch up. I don't know if you've ever seen that, where these kind of all bunch up together and make a big slug. So this is a very specialized thread, and so you have to treat it accordingly. The other thing is, there is a metal component to it, and metal has a memory. So you can see as I take this off the spool, it's not perfectly straight. It's got sort of bends and kinks on it because it's been wrapped around the spool. So let's look at one on a thin spool. You can really see it there. If I could find the end. It's Friday, right? Let it be Friday. There we go. Well, it doesn't want to come undone. Somebody's wound these up. But let's look at this one here. See how it's been on this cardboard wrapper? And when I take it off, it's got all those little kind of kinks in it still. The metal has a bit of a memory to it. So we have to accommodate for that and deal with it accordingly when we sew, because it definitely has a memory, sort of like when you take a wire coat hanger and you try to bend it straight. Where the original bend was, there's always going to be kind of a weak point or a permanent bend in the wire. We kind of have the same thing with metallic threads. So we have to treat them accordingly. And what they like is a little bit of space in the eye of the needle, so that as it goes through the eye of the needle, it's not shredded away. The metallic is not shredded away. So it is important to use a metallic needle for that. I like a Schmetz needle, and it comes in size 80 or 90. They both work great. I use those in embroidery or in sewing. They work really well. If you don't have a metallic needle in your kit, what could you use? Anything that has a large eye in the needle. So a leather needle has a pretty large eye. A top stitch needle would be great in size 80 or 90. That would be wonderful. So get yourself a needle. It really makes a huge difference here. I wouldn't try it without a metallic needle or a top stitch needle. I just had really good success switching to a metallic needle. All right. So what other things do we need if we're going to sew with metallic thread? Well, I would say you need to pack a little bit of patience. Yeah, you need to pack a little bit of patience if you're going to sew with metallic thread. Set your expectations. Realize that metallic thread, it is going to break. It is going to break. Know how to do a thread recovery. Know how to move your stitch back to a point, especially important in embroidery. So maybe metallic thread should not be the very first embroidery project that you try. I suggest that you're a seasoned beginner before you get to metallic threads. That would be one thing. So really set your expectations. Don't be having a huge deadline when you need to sew with metallic threads, because you may have to employ some little tricks and they might take a little bit of time. You may have to walk away from your machine, Gladys, and come back to it the next day. So just don't be in a rush. It is a highly specialized technique. I'm really applauding you for trying it, so go for it. So definitely do that. Make sure your machine is clean and oiled and in good working condition. This, again, because it's so highly specialized, there is no room for error with this technique. If there's a burr on the hook, it's going to tear the thread. If the timing isn't right, the bobbin thread is going to show, and it's not going to be worth the effort of using the metallic thread. So make sure your machine is in good working order. We definitely said to mention that metallic needle. That will help a lot. I tried to get away without using the metallic needle with my wall hanging, and it worked for a little bit, but I got tired of the thread breaks, so I put in a metallic needle and it cut the thread breaks down to 10% of what I had. So that was really, really great. The orientation of the thread. Think about the orientation of the thread. Let's look at our thread spool again. All right, so this thread, the threads are all kind of stacked on the spool, and on this thread, which is a bit of a messy thread, let's look at this one. There we go. On this one, it is cross-wound. Hopefully you can see that. The threads kind of, they go up this way and that way, they're kind of cross-wound. And this one, all the threads are stacked up and then they roll back. And it's just the way that the threads are put on the spool. This type of thread, the cross-wound thread, generally likes to be on a horizontal spool pin. And you can kind of remember it that cross-wound lays down. And generally, this stacked kind of thread likes to be on a vertical spool pin. And I just remember, you know, stacked stands up. I don't know why those little lines wait for me, help me remember, but that seems to work for me. That being said, if I was getting a lot of thread breaks with this on my vertical spool pin, I would try it on a horizontal. Sometimes you have to get a little creative with these crazy threads. So don't forget to try a different position for your threads. Now you can see this thread, even though it's stacked, the tendency for it might be for the threads to kind of fall down to the bottom, and then they might get caught underneath the spool and cause a thread break. So you could try using a thread net. So you may have seen a thread net before. It looks like that. And you just place it over your cone of thread. Go. And then this way it's going to control the thread so that it can't really spool underneath. The only problem with this method is it could add extra tension on the thread, which could cause it to break, or you might have to just adjust your upper tension on your machine. So you could consider using a thread net. There is another type of thread net that's actually just vinyl, and it kind of sticks to itself, and you can use this type of thread net as well. What I would do is just put it on really loosely, sort of like to make a collar. So it's not tight. I don't want it to actually add any tension. See how it's kind of away from the spool? It's actually quite a bit away. And that would just prevent it from spooling on the bottom. So you can use these vinyl thread nets as well. They're very, very good. So a thread net might help to control the thread if you're having that kind of breakage problem. Thread nets work great too when you're doing embroidery with slippery threads that want to do that. So a thread net is a good thing to try. The other thing that we were talking about was that the threads themselves have a bit of that memory. If they're wound tightly on the spool, they kind of have that curly look to them. So what you could do is use one of those thread stands to allow the metallic thread a little bit of time to uncurl, relax, and then go through your sewing machine and get into your project. So rather than actually putting the spool on your sewing machine, you might want to put it on a separate auxiliary thread stand. If you have an embroidery machine, you might have the BERNINA multi-spool holder. And what's great about that is this does extend very tall and allows it to have some time before it gets into your sewing machine. This one comes with a bracket too, so this fits on many, many machines. I took this off a 7 series, but it also would fit on 5 series, 8 series, 4 series, just about any machine I could think of. So think about a spool stand, a thread stand. Yeah, that'll help a lot. And did I mention the most important trick, I may have forgotten, is you need to remember to slow down your machine. And when I say slow down, I don't mean 50% of speed. I mean about 20% of speed. So again, when I did this embroidery behind me, every time I switched to a metallic thread, which was on half of those blocks, I was sure to take the speed down to about 20% and let it do that color and then switch back out to my other colors and go back up to full speed. It really makes a huge difference. I was talking to my friend Diane about it and she's like, oh yeah, I go down to like 20, 15%. She says, really, really slow. It makes a huge difference. You got to go slow. Okay, good. Oh, Nancy, I'm glad you're here. Stay tuned. I have a surprise for you at the end. All right, so we talked about the thread net, the changing the orientation, clean machines, set expectations, and if all of those things fail, I get out my thread lubricant. Now, some of your machines will have a little pad where you can add thread lubricant, not to be confused with machine oil. In fact, this is BERNINA thread lubricant, and it has a little picture on it that says, sewing machine, no, don't put this in the sewing machine. It's, I believe it's got more water in it than oil, so you don't want silicone in there. And you can run the thread through that, and it might help to get through the path. This is my last result because I like to clean my machine after using this to remove all the lubricant, so I try not to use that at all, if possible. The other thing you could do is you can get a very close effect to metallic by using a gold shiny thread. This is not gold thread, but it comes off as gold because it's so close to the gold color. So that's another way you can kind of fake it out if you're having real trouble with the metallics. So you can go with gold colored threads, or silver, or shiny threads will look metallic. So that will help you a lot as well. All right, let me show you a couple of our samples up close. And if you have any questions, do sure to ask us in. Hey Anne, I wish I could bring my tree out to visit you this year, but I'll have to wait till next year, yeah? Right? Okay, so what kind of things can you do on metallic thread? I forgot to bring in the Christmas cards I was working on at home, because you can do like scrapbooking and cards on paper, and you can certainly use metallic threads on that. So a really typical thing to use metallic threads for is embroidery. So this is my tool pouch that I would use if I was visiting Anne and doing a class. And this is where I hold my scissors and my pens and my oil pen. And this is embroidered and monogrammed with gold thread. And it is a little bit challenging when you're doing the monograms because you've got that big jump of the thread there. So there's kind of a lot of tension on that to make that large stitch. So again, slowing down the machine is really, really going to help. And of course, we did use a metallic needle. This is kind of a denim-y twill fabric, so probably we used a 90 on that one. And that worked out really, really well. If you're feeling a little extra brave, you can embroider on other substrates too. You can embroider on cork. So here we go. This is the 125 anniversary designs by Amanda Murphy, and we embroidered them on some cork fabric. And I believe we used a leather needle for this to kind of help to pierce the cork, and it came out really great. We didn't have too many thread breaks on this. Cork is really quite easy to sew on. Yep. So that was a lot of fun. You could certainly do that. It's not limited to embroidery. You can certainly use metallic threads in sewing methods. So this is a thread that is too thick to go through the needle. It has some metallic elements, but it's making me think about these kind of threads that are too thick to go through my sewing machine. I would wind this on the bobbin and then do bobbin work. So this is actually sewn like this. There's a false back on here. And that thick thread is in the bobbin, and then when you're done, you turn over and it reveals this great surprise on the back. So you can definitely couch with metallic threads in that way by doing it with bobbin work. Another thing you could do is you could use your number 43 foot and just free motion couch with it. This is a yarn that I've done here, but you could have done that too with that metallic thread. Or you could use your little cording feet, the number 22 and 25, and you could just run them in the cording foot and then do a zigzag on top of that. So that's how I dealt with some of those Wonderfill threads that had some metallic to it, and that's a lot of fun. And then to make the ornaments that are hard to see on my tree, I did a Swedish folding method with tape measures, but before I folded them, I actually stitched with a little bit of gold thread along the edge. I just used my edge stitch foot and sewed along through the tape measure. The tape measure is pretty thick, so I think I used a top stitch needle on that. And it adds a little bit more glitter to my tree. Makes me pretty happy. And I even used gold thread with my buttonhole foot, or button attachment foot, number 18, and that worked great too, no problem. So you can see the glittery thread there. It looks really cute. So definitely you could add gold thread top stitching on things. That would look really great. I probably wouldn't quilt with metallic thread. It's not super duper strong. So I might not do that. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully you'll try some new things with metallic threads. I know that out in Calgary, you guys know how to do all that stuff. That's really great. I'm just going to see if anybody else has any questions about metallic threads. No, I see everybody's watching from all over this week. It really was fun to do this on Friday. This is really great. So thanks for sticking around. I wanted to show you a special little sneak that nobody knows about. Look what I got in my stocking, Nancy. Do you see what it is? I'm going to show you on the close-up camera. Are you ready? All right, here we go. Look what we got, Nancy. So Nancy is a vintage Bernina sewer. We got the new vintage Bernina feet. I'll show you what they look like. This is the ruler work foot you were coveting, Nancy. It's here. It's adjustable. And most importantly, it's got that little attachment we need for our vintage machines. Can you see it on the top there? Right? This is the top right here with the two prongs that we need for our 830s and 817s, and oh my gosh, 1008s I think need that, and all those other machines. We finally have this foot that is so great for ruler work available for our vintage machines. I'm going to do a full demo on this in a week or so. I'm missing one of my collection here. I got the ruler work foot came in, and also this great free motion foot. Check this one out. Adjustable glide cup foot. Woo! It's just gonna go over those quilts that are, those memory quilts, Nancy, that are like sweaters and jeans and socks and underwear. It's just gonna go over all those bumps. And again, it's adjustable for different thicknesses with this wheel, especially because our machines don't have presser foot pressure, the old machines. So this will allow us to change the height of the presser foot. And it's got that oldie time attachment you can see over there. So this is ready for your machine dance. They're in the stores. So the reason I mention that is Black Friday is coming up, and Bernina has its last chance at buying 2 feet and getting 1 additional foot free. And that's happening next week. So you're just going to want to start to research those feet that you need, or if you're Nancy, grab your little wish list and run to your store or call them and order your feet. I think you have a few days for that sale. I think maybe till Black Friday, the end of the week, next week, for that sale. There's a couple good sales on sergers too. And I think the Bernette 77, there's a promotion. So check those out. Linda's you've been using your 74 on your Q16. Yeah, I just got this one. And guess what? It doesn't fit on my Q16 because it's for the old style, Linda. So I'm going to have to get some more feet in. Thank goodness the sale is coming. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. It was really fun to get to talk to you on a Friday. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. We have a couple good topics coming up. One is the legacy feet. I'll give you another demo on that. And the other topic that I think we're going to do in 2 weeks is quilting in the hoop. How can we use our embroidery machines to do perfect quilting that almost looks as good as quilting it on a long arm machine? That'll be fun. So I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Have a great weekend. Stay safe and try something new. See you then. Bye.